dear children, welcome back. I'm Dr. Jisha Jo. In this session, we shall start with a new lesson, the endocrine system. As we all know, one of the most important characteristic feature of any living organism is the ability to sense its environment. Any living organism, if we take, we know that every living organism has the ability to sense the environment and respond accordingly. This is an important characteristic feature of any living organism, whether it is a unicellular organism or a multicellular organism, whether it is a plant or an animal. For example, a plant is able to grow towards light. That is because it is able to sense the light and it is able to grow towards, respond accordingly. If suppose in a culture medium of bacteria, certain nutrients are added to the culture medium, we can see that the bacteria will move to the region where the nutrients are present in abundance. Or if suppose you can also observe that if it is a photosynthetic bacteria, the bacteria will move to the region where oxygen is present in abundance. Another simple example. We are taken to the PT ground during the PT period. Okay. When you are playing, you might play in the sun. But if you are simply standing there and watching your friends play, what do? Do you stand in the hot sun and watch them play? Normally, we move to the shade. That is, we are able to sense the environment. We are able to sense the heat of the sun. The heat of the sun is perceived by the skin. And this message is sent to the brain that it is heat here. I need to move to a shaded region. So the message will be sent from the brain to the muscles of our legs and we are able to move to the shade. So this is the case of an external environment. An organism is able to sense its external environment. The example that I told you about the plant, about the bacterium, about a child standing in the sun, all these are examples of the organism sensing the external environment and acting or responding accordingly. Another example is suppose the glucose content in the blood is increasing above normal. What will happen? Immediately the body will sense it and the information will be sent to the brain to lower the glucose level inside the blood. Or another example. So in this example which I told, that is the internal environment. Another example, if only there is sufficient food in the intestinal tract, digestive juices will be secreted from the intestinal walls, or the stomach walls will secrete the enzymes, or the gastric juice will be secreted into the stomach only if food is present in the stomach. So these two examples are cases where internal environment is considered. So whether it is an external environment or whether it is an internal environment, every organism has the ability to sense the environment and respond to it. Okay, and this response or activity done by the body should be done at the proper time in the correct order. Any activity, any response that is given by the body should be done at the correct time in the correct manner or in the correct sequence. So this is brought about by two systems in our body. They are the nervous system and the endocrine system. So in this video, we shall start with the endocrine system. Now, what is the endocrine system? Endocrine system consists of different endocrine glands. What are these glands actually? Glands are specialized cells in the body. They are endocrine glands because they are concerned with the secretion of chemical substances called hormones, and these secretions are poured directly into the bloodstream. Okay, endocrine glands are ductless glands. Endocrine glands are ductless glands, that means they don't have ducts in them. They don't have ducts, they pour their secretions directly into the bloodstream. And the secretions of the endocrine directly into the blood. And if you look at these secretions of the endocrine glands are called as the hormones. So what are hormones? Hormones are chemical substances that are secreted by the endocrine glands. So since they are chemical substances, these endocrine glands bring about a chemical coordination in the body. Okay, so before we move on further, we should know what is the difference between an endocrine gland and an exocrine gland. So we have seen what is an endocrine gland. Endocrine gland is a ductless gland. These glands do not have ducts. They pour their secretions, which are the hormones, directly into the bloodstream. The secretions are poured directly into the bloodstream. Whereas what are exocrine glands? Exocrine glands are duct glands. Exocrine glands are glands having ducts. Duct glands are exocrine glands. They have ducts through which the secretions are poured. One simple example is the pancreas. Pancreas, if we take in 9th standard, you have studied pancreas secretes the pancreatic juice into the duodenum of the small intestine through the pancreatic duct, isn't it? So the in the digestive system, the pancreas acts as an exocrine gland. The pancreas has the pancreatic duct which pours the pancreatic juice, or which carries the pancreatic juice into the common bile duct, which in turn carries or pours it into the duodenum. So in the digestive system, the pancreas functions as a duct gland or an exocrine gland. Pancreas is also called as an endocrine gland. It is also an endocrine gland. How is it an endocrine gland? Pancreas is an endocrine gland because it do not have a duct. Pancreas do not have ducts. Pancreas produce certain hormones like insulin, glucagon, etc., which we will study later. These hormones are poured directly into the bloodstream. Okay, so salivary glands. Salivary glands secrete saliva. They are duct glands. Tear glands or the lacrimal glands secrete tears. They are exocrine glands or duct glands. They pour their secretions through the ducts. Tear glands or the lacrimal glands have ducts through which they pour their secretions or the tears into the eyes. Whereas endocrine glands do not have ducts. They pour their secretions directly into the bloodstream. So I hope you have understood the difference between an exocrine gland and an endocrine gland. So now we know that endocrine glands secrete hormones. What are these hormones? Hormones are chemical substances. Okay, these hormones are chemical substances, and the peculiarity of these chemical substances is that they are secreted in very small amounts or trace amounts. Okay, they are secreted in small amounts or trace amounts by the endocrine glands. They are poured directly into the bloodstream, and it is through the blood the hormones are carried to the target organs. Target organs are the organs of the action of that particular hormone. So what are basically hormones? Hormones are chemical substances which are produced in small amounts by the endocrine glands. They are poured directly into the bloodstream and carried through the bloodstream to the organ of action or to the target organs or the site of their action. Okay, so I hope hormone is also clear to you. So hormones, we know hormones, endocrine glands bring about chemical coordination inside the body. All the endocrine glands together constitute the endocrine system. How does the endocrine gland bring about chemical coordination? This is due to the secretion of chemical substances called hormones. So what are hormones? Hormones are chemical substances which are secreted in small amounts or trace amounts which are poured directly into the bloodstream and are carried through the bloodstream to the target organs. Okay, so that is with regard to the hormones. Now, since you have understood what are hormones, we are now moving on to the general properties of hormones. The first property we have already seen, hormones are poured directly into the bloodstream. So that is the first property. Okay, hormones are poured directly into the bloodstream. The second property also we have seen, they are chemical substances. So they bring about chemical coordination in the body. So that is the second property. They bring about chemical coordination, or they regulate the body or the physiological processes of the body by chemical means. So chemical coordination. The physiological processes are regulated by chemical means because hormones are chemical substances. The third property also we have seen. They act on target organs. They cannot act anywhere. They can act only on specific target organs. They act on target organs. The fourth property is that the hormones produced in one species has a similar influence in another species. Okay, hormone produced in one species, similar influence in different species. Okay, so the growth hormone will have the same effect in humans as well as, for example, in dogs or in monkeys. Okay, same effect. The growth hormone will be concerned with the growth. So the growth hormone will have the same effect in humans as well as in monkeys. So hormones have similar influence in different species. Then next point, they are required in small amounts, in trace amounts. Hormones are produced in very small amounts or in trace amounts, but even these small amounts make them biologically very active. Even though they are produced in small amounts, they are biologically very active. Biologically very active. Now moving on to the sixth property, we have already seen that hormones are chemical substances which bring about chemical coordination in our body. So these chemical substances or these compounds may be in the form of, they may be in three forms, okay? That is, hormones may exist as proteins. An example of a hormone that is a protein is insulin. Insulin. or they may exist as amines. Amines are derivatives of amino acids. So certain hormones may be amines, for example, adrenaline. Or certain hormones may be steroids derived from cholesterol. Example, testosterone. Testosterone is a male hormone. So that is the sixth property. Some of the hormones may be proteins or peptides. Example is insulin. Some may be amines derived from amino acids. Example, adrenaline. Or some others may be steroids derived from cholesterol. Example is testosterone. Okay, now moving on to the seventh property, that is, we have already seen that they are produced in small amounts. Even that small amount, it is very, even in that very trace amount or small amount, it is biologically very active, isn't it? So if there is an increase or a decrease in the production of hormones, it will lead to serious conditions. Okay, so excess or deficiency will lead to serious consequences. Excess production means hyper secretion. A hyperactive child means overactive child. So hyper secretion means over secretion, secretion of the hormone in excess. So hyper secretion or hyposecretion. Hyposecretion means secretion is not to the amount that is needed by the body. That is, there is a deficiency in the secretion of a particular hormone. That is hyposecretion. So hypersecretion or hyposecretion will lead to serious consequences. Serious consequences, because in very small amounts or trace amounts, they are very biologically active. Okay, so that is the next point. Now moving on to the last property of the hormones. Hormones cannot be stored in the body. Once their function is over, the hormones are excreted out from the body. So hormones cannot be stored in the body. Cannot be stored. So these are the general properties of hormones. Okay, the first property is they are poured directly into the bloodstream. Number two, they bring about chemical coordination, or they regulate the physiological processes by chemical means, since they are chemical substances. So they act on target organs. They cannot act anywhere. They cannot act on any organ. They have specific target organs on which they can act. Fourth point, they have a similar influence in different species. The same hormone will have similar influence in two different species. Then hormones are produced in small amounts or trace amounts, and even in the small amount, they are biologically very active. Next point, they may be in the form of proteins, example insulin, amines, example adrenaline, or as steroids, example testosterone. Next point, hypersecretion or hyposecretion of any of the hormone will lead to serious consequences in the individual. And the last property of hormones is that hormones cannot be stored in our body, but they have to be excreted out after their function is over. So I hope you have understood what is endocrine gland. What are the chemical substances that are secreted by the endocrine glands called? They are the hormones. Why are the endocrine glands so called? Endocrine glands are so called. They are ductless glands. Okay, endocrine glands are ductless glands. They pour their secretions directly into the bloodstream. And you should know the difference between endocrine gland and exocrine gland. Okay, then we have come to the general properties of hormones. There are several different endocrine glands in our body, but we have just 4 glands to be studied in our syllabus. They are the adrenal gland, the thyroid gland, the pancreas, and the pituitary gland. In the next session, we shall study the location and the function of the adrenal gland. Children, I hope this session is clear to you. If you have any doubts or suggestions, please ask your doubts and give your suggestions in the comment section. Thank you.